Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
Hey everyone, it's Chris here. That's Anna. We're live on YouTube. Very professional podcast. If you're watching live on YouTube, you got to hear the intro twice. If you're listening to the podcast after the fact, you may hear it twice. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it in. Maybe it'll be like a Christmas gift to all of our listeners. But this is our second holiday live show. You're joining us from abroad, all the way from the mother country.
I am in London. It has just gone midnight, and I am here.
Anna comes to us from the future. She already knows the result of the Canucks Bruins game. But we first hosted one of these back in 2020. Lots of hijinks, lots of good fun. We decided, hey, let's do one again this year. You and I decided to do it tonight, which obviously made it interesting because there's a Canucks game. And many of the people that are going to be joining us are taking time out of their pregame rituals. In fact, did you know, Anna, we got our first guest here, first guest, and actually our second guest joined, but I'm going to get our first guest in first because that's what first is all about. You ever heard of Rob the hockey guy? Well, welcome, Rob Williams.
I can't believe I got in ahead of Clay. This is great.
Awesome. Yeah. You're our favorite because you were here first. So,
well, I mean, in fairness, I told Clay to arrive just a little bit after 4, whereas I don't know if Anna may have passed that on. So you got here on time. So did Clay.
Yep. So great job, everyone.
Yeah. And our second guest to join us, Clay Emo.
Hey, Rob, keep your name out of my mouth.
Oh, wow.
Out of your mouth. Hello, everyone.
Okay, Clay's starting the beef early. So, wow.
We actually have the potential of having one more person join. Jordan Bowman, friend of the show. Even with the feud between us and Trust the Process, we reached out with an olive branch for the holiday season. And he was going to join us, but the power apparently went out at his place, which isn't surprising because the wind here in Metro Vancouver has been something today. I was genuinely surprised that I was going to be here for the episode.
Yeah, so I left and you guys everything went to hell apparently. So hope everyone's staying safe out there. Yeah.
But gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Rob, why don't I throw it over to you? Why don't you introduce yourself? Because I was just going to say, you know him from the Daily Hive, but I know you as like the hockey guy. You're more than just hockey.
Yeah, Rob the hockey guy is the handle I chose, I think, about 14 years ago now, and I'm sticking with it. So, I'm the national sports editor at Daily Hive. It's a lot of fun. Get to write a lot of fun stuff about the Vancouver Canucks and get blasted on Twitter from fans. It's great.
Yeah, I mean that's a rite of passage these days.
Yeah, and then Clay.
I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you, I got blasted by Brent Sopel today.
Really?
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. The NHL is putting out this like quarter century team thing where they're getting every team in the league is going to have like a list of like a first team and a second team, like first team, second team all-stars, but for each franchise for the last 25 years. So I put out like my picks for it, whatnot. And I did not have Brent Sopel as one of the top 4 defensemen in the last 25 years for the Canucks. Anyway, so he kind of chimed in there. So that was kind of cool. Better than the usual trolls that I got.
That's pretty cool, I would say.
Brent Sopel not in the top 4. That is just an egregious oversight on your part, Rob.
Wow.
Yeah. Clay Mo. I mean, friends of the show know Clay. Clay and I go way back. We started this whole darn thing. Gosh, it would have been like 13, 14 years ago now.
Yes, but I don't have guys like Brent Sopel watching my tweets, so I'm very jealous of Rob.
Well, but if you did, and maybe they are, you're always so positive. So there isn't anything to really call you out on or put you on blast.
Well, I'm sure you'll find a way over the next hour, I'm sure. And yes, hi everyone. I have a YouTube show. Canuck Clay is my moniker. Five shows a week at 11 o'clock every night, kind of filling the old sports page, Sportsnet void that used to be there late night every weeknight. And yeah, fun fact, my connection to Rob actually let me write for him when it was back in the day when it was Van City Buzz, which is pretty cool. And Rob's thumbs up avatar was probably the precursor to my meme as well. So lots of connections to everyone in here today.
Yeah. So you talked about filling in sort of the sports page void. Can we expect a Yuling with Clay episode holiday season?
No, but I don't think they did as many cringy parody Christmas songs as we did. You've been in one of them, Chris, as well. So that's kind of my contribution to the Christmas season. But no more. That's so like 2018.
I'm still hoping for another Clay parody special.
I'll see what I can do. I might have to bring reinforcements like you and Kristen. So
sure.
Hey, don't let him say that. He has promised me over and over, and he finally broke down and had me do some voiceover work and never invited me back. So.
As long as I don't have to be able to sing, then I'm fine.
Okay. Deal.
Cool.
I thought we could all hang out. We'll talk Vancouver Canucks. So for regular listeners of our show, we've got Rewind. We're going to go back and sort of it was and all that jazz. But then we're going to go and shift gears, and we're going to go and have some fun, Christmas or holiday themed chatter, Canucks related. I mean, this is a Canucks podcast and all that. And because we're regularly off the rails, and we've got the four of us here to do that, for instance, watching on YouTube right now, our drunk uncle is Anna. I mean, that's how serious this show takes itself.
Yeah, I'm drinking Lochnagar whiskey, so.
Yeah, she's already into the wobbly pops. I have eggnog. So for our viewers, they can see me. I'm drinking straight eggnog. There's nothing special in here because it's 4:00 in the afternoon for us, and while it's 5:00 somewhere, I might have to go out tonight. So need to keep myself on the up and up.
Rob, you drinking anything?
No, I missed the memo.
Anna.
Sorry, I should have said. Actually, like old school C4 viewers will know that I tasted eggnog for the first time on our previous Christmas special.
Mm-hmm. You didn't seem to be a fan.
I mean, it was fine. Everything's fine when it has rum in it, but like, it's kind of just like milk. Weird milk. And
Clay, what beverage are you consuming? A Diet Coke, for instance?
Close, but I don't. You see, that's a glass full of Pepsi or a cup full of Pepsi.
A cup full of Pepsi. Yeah.
I was gonna say Clay's affiliated with Pepsi. He's got to stay true to his brand here.
Whoa! I did not know this. Many apologies.
You haven't seen the billboards?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, one billboard outside of Rogers Arena for 3 months last year. You walk out of in and out of the hockey game, and you see this good-looking face staring at you from BC Place. It was fun.
I've lived a very sheltered life over the past few years. Getting down that direction, not something that I do. But before we jump into Rewind, I do want to let all those who are watching YouTube know that if they drop a comment like Sean Smith recently did, we can throw it onto the broadcast. For those who are listening after the fact, Sean said, "Hi, Anna. Hi, Chris. As it's a tad late here, won't be able to stay on for the live show. Just wanted to jump on and wish you all happy holidays. Love your work." Sean, you treat us so well.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Listeners of the show know he's bought us both a pint.
Yes. But yes, it is similarly late for Sean. So
yes.
Thank you and good night.
All on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, I understand. But why don't we get into Rewind? So Demko has returned, and he is going to be playing tonight. We're recording this on a Saturday. Obviously, we can't prognosticate what's going to happen outside of the fact the Vancouver Canucks better win with Demko in the net, get him that first dub on his return. Were you surprised it occurred so soon? Were you surprised it occurred so late? Were you surprised as to how he described his game as rusty, but he looked pretty darn solid to me? Rob, why don't we ask you first?
Yeah, you mean like him returning so late or so early or right on time?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts about
I think that's
Demko.
probably about what I expected. I think they were what some of the early reports were saying that he would be back within about a month or so, and that sort of, I don't know, just felt like that was maybe a little bit optimistic, and that they were going to be. I mean, they're clearly being very careful with Demko, and I think that we're still in a situation now where it's like, okay, he's healthy again, he's playing, but I think everyone's still kind of holding their breath, like every time he makes one of those spectacular post to post
Yeah.
saves, that is he going to re-aggravate the popliteus muscle injury that he has? Is he gonna be able to stay healthy? Because of course, like we saw in the playoffs, he comes back. He played a couple regular season games, plays the playoff game, and he's hurt again. So I don't think anyone's super confident yet. Like, you want to see him like put a string of games together, and hopefully he's good as new, and hopefully he can stay healthy for the rest of the season.
So
How about
Rob
yourself, Clay?
remembers his
Anna.
I was just going to say Rob remembers his high school anatomy classes. I've never heard of that muscle before. And hopefully don't need to learn it again, because nothing will ever happen again to Demko. Right, Clay?
Yeah, no, I'm glad Rob said it, because I certainly can't say it as proficiently as him. It's funny. I just go back to April when he played game 1 against Nashville, and they were saying, "Oh, if the Canucks made it to the next round, that he could have played." No, he couldn't have played. Like, it's December or middle December now. I'm with Rob. I thought it might be a bit earlier, or maybe I was hoping it would be a bit earlier, but the fact that Lankinen played so well to start the season, there was certainly no rush to bring him back. And yeah, it's nice. Everyone, there's debating tonight who should start, Lankinen or Demko. And it sounds like it was made easy for Rick Tocchet, because Lankinen's out with the flu, not an injury. So yeah, I'm going to the game tonight. I'm excited to see what happens, and very happy. Like, I don't worry about playoffs. I don't worry about Lankinen's contract if he's playing himself out of a position next year here. I just think that it's great that it's not a controversy. It's a great situation to be in, and one that we haven't been in a while. So let's enjoy it, and let's push forward now. But I think I agree with Rob too. You take a gasp every time he goes post to post, but you got to trust that he wouldn't be playing if he wasn't ready.
And Nexus actually just dropped this comment in YouTube, and I think it holds true. Again, for listeners after the fact, Nexus says, thankfully Lankinen has been lights out, didn't feel the need to rush back, and is able to split starts till he's fully up to speed. And that is very true. Sat had joined me last week, and one of the things that we had talked about was that as Demko gets more and more into game shape, there is maybe some consideration that you'll have a 1A, 1B, or the potential, platooning of two goaltenders. Tonight's start is a little bit unexpected, but, there is a flu bug going around the team. But, Clay, Rob, is Sat right here, do you think we're going to see a 1A, 1B because of how Lankinen has shown how well he can play? And, case in point, in his last start against the Florida Panthers, he channeled Kevin Blankinen.
But I gotta say that Kevin Blankinen, Brock Star, Party.
People love a rhyme.
I know people like it. I'm just like, I don't know. No, yeah, of course, yeah. Like, the better Lankinen plays, the less you have to ride Demko. And I think that, particularly with a goaltender that's proven to be quite injury prone, you want to have Demko being as rested as can be, both to avoid injury and also just, assuming they make the playoffs, which is, that's not a foregone conclusion.
No.
Like, they've got some work to do to make the playoffs. But you want Demko to be fresh and healthy and at the top of his game when they enter the playoffs. You don't want him kind of limping in or being fatigued when you get to that point. But it's a fine line, because he's also a guy that's used to a big workload, and I'm sure that if you have him trotting out only 50% of the games, I don't know if Demko is going to be absolutely loving like such a small workload as well.
Yeah, and hockey players, let's face it, hockey players are dumb, and they want to play. They're not concerned with what's maybe best for their team and their longevity, like Demko is the most competitive guy. As you can see with how harsh he was in himself after the game. So yeah, I think Demko might need to be protected from himself at this stage.
Yeah, and I don't know how scientific or how accurate it's got to be, but if you could go Lankinen still 2/3 of the starts until whatever, middle of January, then from January until Four Nations, you make it more half-half. And then after Four Nations, maybe it goes the other way, 2-1 the other way. But I agree with Rob, is you want him ready for the second week of April. That's really what you're targeting, like fully and ready to go every game. So there's no rush to do that up until then, especially with the way Lankinen's playing.
Something else, guys. I wonder about Lankinen at the trade deadline. Like, let's say Demko's back, he's playing at the top of his game. Hey, yeah, it's great to have an insurance policy in the playoffs, but there's probably going to be a team in the Eastern Conference that's desperate for a goalie. How desperate do they get? And you can,
I think they'd have to be pretty desperate for because. Demko goes, he looks healthy, but he goes down in the playoffs again. Then what do? Hope She Loves has a repeat performance.
But maybe that's the roll of the dice that you do, right? That you go, right. Okay, we're gonna ride or die with Demko in the playoffs. And I guess it all depends on what you can get back in return from. Like, the goalie market's always kind of goofy, but that's just something in the back of my mind. I'm just sort of wondering about, because you look at Lankinen. I mean, he's playing like a legit starting goalie, and I think there's probably going to be a team out there that'll sign him and make him their number one next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm keen to the idea. Granted, it's December. I'll maybe warm up into the spring as we approach the deadline. But I think back to game one of the playoffs where Demko has what is, by my account, an outstanding performance, and then everything falls apart and it's suddenly a panic. Oh my God, the Canucks playoff chances are ruined. Obviously, they proved me wrong. And we had an arty party, much to Rob's chagrin.
Right, but Casey DeSmith went down as well. That's not luck. That could happen. I just want to go Sorry, go ahead, Clay.
Sorry, Anna. Really quickly, Rob's point though is so good about the trade deadline, because it happens every year for teams that are in contention. And you think of the year that we lost the big four of Edler, Tanev, Toffoli, and Stetcher. Was it Stetcher? Well, whatever. All in one summer. So Rob's right. That's gonna be the story basically from January on. Is as Demko gets better, as Lankinen continues to play well, is do you want the insurance versus do you want another depth forward or a good defenseman or whatever you end up getting for the run? And with Rutherford and Alvin, I think they're kind of unpredictable. They've been shown to jump the trade market. They've been shown to not worry about rentals, i.e. Lindholm and Zadorov. So it's going to be fascinating. That's why it just added to the list of intriguing stories for this year for this club.
Yeah, big time. I was going to go super quick off the rails just because Clay mentioned it. Quick answer. Do we care about the Four Nations?
It's what, February?
I do.
Okay.
I like that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I think we're starting to see a bit of momentum build now for it. I thought in the summer when people were talking about it, I was like, I don't know if anyone cares about this at all, if anyone's thinking about it at all. I think that we are going to care about it. I think the interesting twist about this tournament, versus Canada Cups and World Cup of Hockey is that it's in season. It's in February. What else are we? It's not like these tournaments that used to start in September and the sun's still shining and whatnot. Right. Everyone's right into the hockey season. It's at a good time of year, and you've also got that ready-made hype machine of the NHL season and people talking about this tournament as it comes up. The other thing, I know it's a short tournament, but there's also no bad games in this tournament. You're not getting Canada,
right? Because
and then now we got
the All-Stars. Yeah.
Should we be excited about Canada, Slovakia, and then you get one good game against Sweden? all three of these games should be really captivating. There's no guarantee that Canada is going to make the final. And then I think there's also a real threat from the United States entering this tournament. I think, it's a rare time where I think the Americans are probably going to enter this tournament as the favorites.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree
And
with that.
Chris, can I share a quick story? I don't get to see
course.
Rick Tocchet as much as Rob does in the locker room and stuff, but I did go to the Canucks meet and greet early in November. And it was funny. One of my perks was I got to go to Q&A with Rick Tocchet, and I asked him, I said, if you're game planning with John Cooper as coaches of Team Canada and you're game planning to play against the United States in the Four Nations face-off, are you giving them all of your trade secrets about Miller and Quinn Hughes? Or are you holding something back knowing that you're going to coach against these guys in the playoffs? And Rick Tocchet, it was pretty cool. Rick Tocchet said, that is a great question. And then I put my hands up in the air and did, but the way he answered it, it was fascinating. He said, yes, of course, the game plan will be to get Sam Bennett to. No, this is what he said. He goes, we have to immobilize the U.S. defenseman. He goes, but I'm not sure I want Sam Bennett taking runs at Quinn Hughes in the corner. So the way he said it was kind of funny. Because number one, he basically acknowledged that that's what they're going to have to do. And number two, he mentioned Sam Bennett. And at that time, I was like, there's no way Sam Bennett's going to make this team. And guess what? Sam Bennett made the team.
Yeah. I guess he knew. Yeah, that's my concern. Like, I don't care about any international football. And all I do is hope and pray the Arsenal players come back uninjured. So I think that's going to be me throughout the whole Four Nations is don't hurt Quinn Hughes.
I think that's also a blessing in disguise that Demko is not going. And I mean, not that he necessarily would have started anyways, but Demko is not going and Brock Besser is not going. I think that's kind of a blessing in disguise for the Canucks that, you get a couple guys that'll just get some time off to rest, right before the stretch run.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think Robbie had mentioned it earlier, but I think the name of the pre-season tournament used to have was like the World Cup of Hockey. Can't say I ever watched it. I could almost, for me, it wasn't that I wasn't intrigued by hockey. My mind simply wasn't even present for hockey at that stage.
Yeah.
Right? It's just the last thing that I would think of.
So my experience I actually covered the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. I was in Toronto for 2.5 weeks for it, and this was like pretty early into my time in being in media. So this was like the first real big event that I got to cover. So I was really excited about this. You're in the room, interviewing like every big star in the league, like Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, like everyone was there pretty well. And I was really excited about this tournament. And you just look online and you look at the reaction, just people were just not that into it. And then you see like some of the games didn't have great attendance and people a little more into the Blue Jays in Toronto at that time because they were good then. So it was kind of a weird experience where it was like, and then of course the final ends up being like Canada versus Team Europe, if you remember. And nobody remembers Brad Marchand scoring like the series winning goal like in the I think it was like in the final minute, like shorthanded. Nobody remembers that, right? Like that's not like this great, that's not up there with like Gretzky to Lemieux 87 Canada Cup. It's a forgotten tournament. So like, it's such a weird, that was such a weird one because I think the part of the problem was it was close. They had it 2 years after the Olympics. It was in September and they made it hokey by having this, U23 North American. Yeah, exactly. You had that and you had the Team Europe aspect. And I think especially the fact that Team Europe did so well and went to the final, it really just took away from the tournament, and it's one that I don't think you're alone in not really remembering that tournament. Not many people do.
Bringing us back on the rails, just to sort of recap the week that was, Vancouver Canucks lost in Demko's return, a 4-3 loss in overtime against the Blues. Demko looked pretty good. Again, described himself as rusty, but didn't really look that way to the uneducated podcaster's eye. A second player, however, returned only 2 nights later in JT Miller, returning from his indefinite leave of absence. It was no longer indefinite because he's back on the ice. He's not talking about it, but he had arguably a pretty darn good game in that 4-0 victory over the Panthers. Obviously, I think it would be safe for us to assume whatever he needed to sort out, be it physical injury, physical fatigue, mental fatigue, whatever it happened to be, got worked through. Are we safe to presume he's going to continue that stellar play into tonight's game against the Boston Bruins in game 38 or whatever it is?
Well, hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because we don't know what it is. Even like talking to other media people, sort of, behind the scenes, every now and then there's like, you hear like different rumblings about what people think it might be or might not be. Not hearing very much. Like nobody really knows exactly what the heck was going on. I thought he looked fine last game. I didn't. He had the 2 assists. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like in the arena, he was named first star.
Yeah,
he was supposed to do the on ice interview, and even Al Murdoch's calling it out and saying, now over to Olivia with and then he kind of stops. He like cut himself off, and then Lankinen does the interview. That was weird. I don't know. It's not like he was going to get grilled on that.
Exactly. Just say thanks.
Yeah, he seems a little uncomfortable with like the fanfare and his return and whatnot. So I'm not sure what that's about. So yeah, it's a great big mystery. But yeah, I thought he looked okay last game. I think he definitely has a lot. That wasn't peak JT Miller,
no.
Far from it, I think. But I don't see any reason why he can't get back up to speed, depending on what he was dealing with.
Yeah, I think it just speaks to how serious the issue might be, actually, because the fact that we know that he wasn't the most receptive to public fanfare anyways, like Rob said, but the fact that he doesn't want to talk about it, the fact that he doesn't want to acknowledge it even, I just think he's still struggling with whatever he was struggling with. So we have to honor that time. But the more important thing is on the ice, when despite him not playing perfectly well, but he was still noticeable, it just makes your lineup so much stronger because now Suter... Now, yeah, Garland and Joshua are on the third line as opposed to second line. Now you can elevate Hoglander and give him one more shot. Now you can keep Petey with DeBrusque, but move Besser away from Petey because they haven't really clicked. It just makes the lineup that much stronger. When your fourth line has a Heinen and a Bluger on it and one of Ratu or Assassin, that is way better than what we looked like 2 weeks ago. So I think on the ice, obviously, we're going to notice it. And off the ice, we just got to respect that he doesn't want to talk about it. And the questions about him will be fewer and fewer, hopefully, as we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the organization really didn't do him any favors. Like, let's stop pretending that the fans are the enemy here or the media. Like, this is a busy market. Just like if you were more honest, just say this is a mental health thing. He really needs his privacy. Can you leave it alone? But they barely said anything. So fans and media are like asking these questions, right? So. And even the support JT doesn't seem to want. So it's hard to know what to do in that situation. But I do think the organization could have done a lot better.
Yeah, Chris, Anna, if I may, can I ask Rob a quick question? I know this is your show, but I'm really curious.
Oh, take over, Clay. I mean, why not?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I stop now, right? Rob, within the media itself, I'm just curious, were you guys kind of like, arm in arm kind of saying like, why is the not so much the fans, but why is the club kind of turning against us? Or were you guys like, oh, whatever, like we kind of expect this now. We'll just kind of do our work kind of thing. Like, cause I don't think the media did, but I agree with Anna.
Good question.
Yeah. The sentiment from Anna is true. And I felt I'm not even media. I'm fake media. I pretend media, but even I was getting it too. So I'm curious as what you guys thought.
Yeah, I mean, the Canucks have an interesting relationship with the media right now, right? Like, there's such a cone of silence around the team. Like, I mean, I think as we saw with, oh shoot, I'm blanking on her name, the woman that they'd dismissed because she was talking to the media in the past.
Oh, Rachel?
Sorry, yeah,
Rachel Dory,
Rachel.
yeah.
Rachel Dory, I think that was a little bit of a window into the Canucks there, where it was like, okay, like it was like a big issue that she had conversed with someone in the media. I think that there's also, that's sort of been my experience too. Just like, I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, sort of asking the DJ, like, some silly question, as I ask on occasion, just about something about the goal sign. I got like no response, right? And I was like, and then when I saw the Rachel Dory thing, I was like, okay, I think I get what's going on here. I think that's sort of been my sense, that like, okay, they really don't want anything leaking. So I can understand that, but they definitely are. There's more secrecy to the team than there used to be. I used to be able to reach out to the team and get more answers, to things. And now they just sort of let, statements, press releases speak for themselves. And I'm not saying that that's entirely, for a media guy, that's not great, of course, because we want more information. We want to be able to deliver more interesting stories. I can understand at times, being more protective that way, especially in a market like Vancouver, and because you don't want things, you don't want wild rumors kind of stemming from leaks. But at the same time, boy, you can really do yourself a favor by giving the media something, right? Think about Rick Tocchet. Do you hear a lot of I mean, of course, he's had a good run in Vancouver, but Rick Tocchet is going to get every benefit of the doubt, because he's a media darling, right? He's great with the media, so he's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. Just it's human nature, I think, because he gives the media a lot. And I think you'll also see, think about coaches of the past that were so like, they would just never criticize their team. They'd never, everything was just sort of like Travis Green, right? Really tight-lipped about things, didn't want to really say anything. And I think when you do that, you leave it up to the media to kind of fill in the gaps on whatever they think. Whereas I think it like with Tocchet, when he goes in there and just starts, you can tell like that he's pissed off about Höglander's, defensive play or lack of attention to detail. Suddenly that becomes the talking point, because we're taking the cues from Tocchet. Clearly he's upset with something, and now you start to look for the things with Höglander. So you can kind of, if you do it right, you can kind of orchestrate the talking points to a degree.
Yeah. The Vancouver Canucks have always had this, I don't want to say cone of silence, but filters to which they, put in place of any form of conversation, whether with being the media or I don't know what we would be calling ourselves, new media, now that they've sort of embraced that concept. But like, I remember a story from eons ago where a bunch of us from Canucks Hockey Blog had gone up to Penticton for the Young Stars tournament. And JJ Guerrero, who founded CHB and all that, the blog father as he was once known, he got invited or crashed the post Young Stars tournament party. Like, they threw one for media and special guests. And what he found interesting was that there was very much, like, those who were around, some casual off the record conversation, a lot of familiarity. But the Canucks had PR people everywhere. And the moment word got out that he was a blogger, he essentially had a shadow the whole time. Now, the thing about this was that we knew stuff back then that we would have never shared. It wasn't our place. That's not the space we wanted to reside in. But, fast forward to where we are today. Why is it that we'll start to speculate or analyze, discuss? It's when there's a vacuum, because it's a space that needs to be filled. And I'm of the belief that if the team were to go and not necessarily be 100% transparent, I get it, but provide enough detail that you don't really give anything that you can question. You've answered them all, 3 bullet points or whatever it happens to be. There's another story to chase, another conversation to be had. And I talked with Sat last episode sort of about the JT Miller situation, and I felt like if this is sort of a new world for the NHL or a new world for the team, where they're progressive in how they approach mental health, compared to physical, but again, speculative, because we haven't really clue what happened. We both came to the idea that maybe it's not, because you still have the NHL, when even the Canucks more specifically, pronouncing that their players have a, body injury. What was it Alain Vigneault had said? Oh yeah, he's got a body injury. Like, you don't want conversation, and then you drop something like that. And the Canucks do it, frequently. One of the things about this episode is that it'll be the last one before Christmas. We take a break. We'll be back just before the end of the calendar year. And, the Vancouver Canucks have a small little road trip just before the holidays, where they get to head to the, what do we be called? The Midwest, United States. But they've also got a bunch of home games. And the Vancouver Canucks home record, not so hot compared to the road record. So quick fire. They've got the Boston Bruins tonight. Is that a win or a loss?
Win.
Rob?
They suck on home ice. I'm going to say they probably lose. They suck on home ice. They got to win. They got to win on Thursday. So yeah, it's hard for me to say that I think they're going to win. I kind of expect wins on the road now and losses at home.
Yeah, right. Specifically when Demko is maybe not ready to steal a game yet. For them. So yeah, I'm going to say loss too, I'm afraid.
Okay, I'm actually going to say win. And I would have not have said win had it was Lankinen. It's not a shot against Lankinen. It's just that what we saw Boston do at home when the Canucks were on the road, if that were to happen here, I think Lankinen gave it all on Thursday, probably less. But now Demko's in, and I think he's going to have that little sort of Demko chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Avs, Monday at home. Clay.
Loss.
Rob.
Oh, geez, guys, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win the games. I don't know. Let's say it.
Look at this. Okay, you're like a typical Vancouver Canucks media person, always waffling.
Let's say they lose tonight. They come out and they're a little more desperate on Monday, and they win on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, win. I'm still not sure that they've solved their goaltending problem. We'll see.
Okay. And see, I'm going to say loss. I'm with my boy Clay here. If they get the win against Boston, they're going to lose against the Avs. If they lose against Boston, they're going to win against the Avs. It's just they're going to split those two.
That's fair.
First game on the road against the Utah Hockey Club.
Win. I mean, win. Beat the new boys. They don't even have a name yet. Come on.
Sure, win. They're great on the road.
Yeah.
Rob loves this game.
Yeah.
It's like Tortorella and the quiz on TSN.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the win as well. Vegas.
Lost in extra time. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if Jack Eichel was actually banned for some games, as he probably should have been, that might be a different story. But yeah.
They're great on the road, but they always lose in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go OT loss with Clay.
Okay. See, I'm conflicted. I want the Vancouver Canucks to win, but I got Aiden Hill in my hockey pool, and I need him to pull out some stats for me and maybe get a shutout. It hurts for me to say that, so I'll say a Vegas win only because my hockey pool requires it. And then they wrap up their Christmas break. Sens at home on Saturday and Sharks at home on the Monday. I'm going to say win and win. Those are two teams they have to beat, even though they're at home.
Even Canucks can win against those guys at home, surely.
Sens are playing better. Sens are playing better of late.
It's true.
Travis Green revenge game too. You got the Adam Gaudette riding high. I'm gonna say they're gonna lose that game because they suck at home, and then they're gonna beat the Sharks. They will beat them
because everyone beats the Sharks.
Yeah.
And then it's the holiday break, and who knows what happens there. We're going to take ourselves a short auditory break. You're watching a live show, and so it's just going to continue on, and we're going to smile at you for a moment. But this is the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast. You're listening and watching to Chris and Anna.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on that.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy. Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
And I guess I should actually say watching Clay and Rob too and listening, but I'm a rude host. And let's be honest, Clay took over the show. He should actually be doing the segues. Half full, half empty, as I sort of alluded to, going to be a little bit different. Instead of picking some topic that Anna and I talk about, we thought we would holidayify it and start off by asking, what is one actual gift you would give a Canucks player, as well as one theoretical? So an example is you could give Connor Garland a swimming with sharks experience. That's an actual gift you could probably give him. And a theoretical gift would be like a better amount of injury luck to Thatcher Demko. I actually like this, and I'm going to throw it to Anna first because I probably stole her ideas, and this is
that's all right.
Thought of. But Anna, what do you got?
Okay, I'm going to say this is a real thing because I've seen it on the internet, and as we know, things on the internet are real. Everything on the internet is real. I would say, have you seen the meme where it's two children who are siblings crying and they're in a giant t-shirt together, and it's called like a make friends shirt?
Okay.
That's what I'm getting for PD and JT. And just that's how we solve our problems. Put PD and JT in the make friends shirt. Leave them alone in the locker room for an hour. And yeah, that's the real gift. That's a physical thing. Theoretical gift. A trade partner for Deone, someone who also thinks that all you need to be a defenseman is be really, really tall. And I think those GMs are out there, so maybe it's not theoretical. So
somebody gonna hire Jim Benning?
Yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah. Men are very easily tricked. How does Eric Branson keep getting jobs? GMs get lost in his eyes. That's
too
what
handsome.
happens.
It's too handsome.
There you go. Chris, do you have any gifts?
Okay, so the actual gift, and this is one I'm stealing because I'm lazy, but over the few days they have with the holiday break, all the fans in Rogers Arena are going to get black seats. I know this is going to happen, but they're going to expedite the installation, and then it'll look nicer on TV, at least for me.
Yeah.
A little off the rails. How does the virtual advertising on the boards enhance your television experience? Because Gary Bettman has told me that fans say that it enhances their television viewing experience. Do you feel that it is enhanced when you watch it? Or are the two of you in the barn so much you don't know what you're missing out on?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I hate. I hate when they start making them animated during the play. That drives me nuts. If they could just make them static in the background, try to mimic what an actual what the board ads look like in person. Yeah. If they just did that, they wouldn't be so offensive. So that's my take on the boards.
Yeah, and I think if they use them in creative ways, but not animated, like Rob said, but rather, I know one of my last experiences was the Canucks was part of that Free the Skate campaign that they actually ex-nayed when Gino Ojic passed away. So, which was, I think, a good call. It happened at the same time, January, a year and a half ago. But they had this 2 years ago. They had this big campaign about what's going to, and subtle hints. Even the dasher and the color of the boards, they would flash to the black, the orange, and the yellow. For small portions of this. So maybe that's a little distracting. I didn't know this. I didn't notice it on TV, but it came up afterwards. So I think if you use them in a creative way to maybe even, but as long as it's not distracting from the play. So, but I don't mind the placement of the ads as long as they're actually truly static, as Rob said. And that's a good point. Actually, when I go to games, I don't even, maybe I should pay more attention. I don't even notice the difference, but I'm going to look tonight now and see what's actually there.
The theoretical gift is that Connor Garland gets a growth spurt so that he can be as tall as the Canucks Bill Hilmaz, 5'10".
Yeah,
That's good.
I like that.
How about you, Rob? Got any gifts that you would like anyone to get?
My theoretical gift is for Elias Pettersson. Combination of confidence and kind of
Yes.
bring the fire back into his game, right? Like he's
Mm-hmm.
putting up points. He's playing better than he was earlier in the year, and certainly, how he was in the playoffs last year. But we're just not seeing that that
X
fire,
factor, yeah.
that we used to see with him. And if he could get that back in his game, I think that would be great. In terms of actual gifts, man, I'm trying to rack my brain on stuff. I don't know. It will come back to me on that one because I haven't thought of anything good. I'll probably interrupt Clay mid-sentence.
Okay, perfect.
I'll rag the puck for you, Rob. Okay, so my practical gift is this: giving Canucks management and PR staff that book, Managing Difficult Conversations. That's what I'm going to give them. And then they can start with me. The theoretical gift, I am going to. Oh shoot! I just had this. I was so proud to make that one. It was about.
Good one.
Oh shucks. Oh, come back to me. So go back to Rob.
Are you ready, Rob?
No, I've got nothing.
Okay. I mean, yeah, just a nice bottle of whiskey. Then I guess I can recommend the Lochnagar 12-year-old.
We had asked this question way back in a podcast episode, and I remember we got so far off the rails. I think we started giving gifts to just random people, listeners of our show, media, someone who happened to be on the news. So, if I had known, I would have come prepared to be more off the rails. But Clay, did you say you figured it out?
Yes, I got my theoretical,
Okay,
and
perfect.
It's genuine. It's the guaranteed health for Kiefer Sherwood, so he can continue racking up 8 to 12 hits a night. It's such a difference maker on the team. But he's not the biggest guy, so he obviously learned how to play and how to hit and annoy the heck out of the other guys. But there's no way he's going to keep up this pace. No, I don't want him to keep up this pace. To be honest with you, if it means tolling his body, it's got to be hurting him too. But it's so awesome to see.
Yeah, nice.
Doesn't really hurt when you're having fun.
Yeah, tell it to him.
Yeah. That's the thing. You do have to be a little bit mad to be an athlete. I noticed I was watching the terrible Arsenal game today in person, and Kai Havertz just ran at the goalie when, to me, it was pretty obvious the goalie's going to get there first, and Kai Havertz is the size of a stick insect. A strong wind would blow him over. So, yeah, I think as long as Kiefer Sherwood doesn't get given any sort of common sense over the holidays, then we should be good.
I've talked about this before, but I'm so glad that the Vancouver Canucks found a way to get good players on their team. Just identify the ones that really irritate you on other rosters and sign them.
Yeah.
That's the approach they should take. It shouldn't be that we like the guy because he's so tall. We like the guy because he had a hot season. We like the guy because we think he's about to break out. Or what Anna just said. No, it should be the ones that irritate you. Granted, if that were the approach, I can't imagine.
Would play for the
Canucks. I can't imagine. Or prior to that, Dustin Byfuglien, I would have, it would have pained me to my soul to see, them in Canucks jerseys. I would have supported them if they were Canucks, but
Well, you're gonna cheer for Brad Marchand at the Four Nations. I know Rob mentioned his name already.
Yeah, no, I will. You throw in a Canada jersey and, all past transgressions are forgiven for a period of time. It's kind of like when, Kessler was asked about playing Canada and he had the comments about, Canada sucks or whatever that, us Canadians took real well.
Mm-hmm. Very chill about it.
Yeah, we're so much chill. Did you get another gift there, Rob? Any ideas?
I think Sorry, go ahead.
How about a spa gift certificate for Thatcher Demko, so he can get a massage, keep his popliteus muscle loose and in tip-top shape.
There we go. You use the word again, so you definitely know it. So.
Guys, I've written that. I like Googled that word so many times because I'm like, it took me like 4 tries. It takes me 4 tries to get to spell it correctly every single time.
Yeah, you need to put it as a keyboard shortcut, probably. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Also, we have Scandinave Spa and Whistler, which is
there you go.
Lovely, so that's why he should go.
He just has to be very quiet when he's there.
He can do that. He doesn't like talking to anyone.
He'll be fine.
I'll say this about Thatcher Demko. We were talking about the media before. It's so far, anyways. He's done like a 180 with the media. Like he used to be very short in his answers, looked like he wanted to be anywhere but the media scrum. He like requested to speak to the media about his popliteus injury back in training camp, and if you see the media scrums that he's had since he's come back, he's been excellent with the media. Like he's been, it's like a different guy in front of the cameras now.
I did see him.
He's had a Strombone moment. Like, have you found his Twitter account?
Could be.
I did see him laugh in the scrum. I'm not sure I knew he could do that. So maybe he has turned a corner. Fair enough.
Anywho, here we are at a relative end of our show. We've been here together for an hour. I know, Clay, you got to get to the game. Rob, you're probably having to go and work there too. It must be nice to be, regularly in the building. Me, I'm going to take my enhanced experience at home with all of the virtual advertising on the boards. But Clay, I understand you have a haiku. Long-term listeners will know, and when Clay was in the show, he'd always provide us a haiku. And long-time listener Ian, he had actually commented in YouTube asking, so do you happen to have a haiku tonight?
No, I prepare them after the game, but I could do one right now off the top of my head, just like a good rapper can do it.
Well, you're a pro. I expect nothing less.
All right. Rob, Chris, and Anna. What a blast from the old past. Canucks will win now.
Perfect.
Tonight would have been 6 syllables. That was the worst ever, but
it'll be better for your show.
Off the dome, it was pretty good.
Yeah, off the dome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also,
Rob, you got a haiku?
Yeah.
I do not. No, you can give me a half an hour. I wouldn't be able to come up with that.
But one of the things that we often do with our guests is we give them an opportunity to have some, final words, tell us their thoughts, promote themselves. Not that either of you need any promotion, but Rob, anything you'd like to share to our listeners and viewers?
No, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hopefully the Canucks give us a season to remember, because hey, I want the Canucks to win just straight up. But even as a media guy, I know the media gets a bad rap about almost wanting chaos or wanting the team to lose. Let me tell you, it is good for business when the Canucks are winning. It doesn't matter which part of Vancouver sports media you're in. It's good if they win. So I hope they win for various reasons, and I know all your listeners do too.
How about you, Clay?
Yeah, echo what Rob said. Even my little YouTube channel, there's a lot more interest in my shows when the team's playing well. So I hope that the Canucks start to put some of these stories behind them and really concentrate on what's on the ice. So that's the first thing. The second thing is thanks to you, Anna and Chris, for having both Rob and me on today. It's always fun to connect with all of you. And for all your listeners, viewers, and for everyone, just a safe and Merry Christmas and blessed New Year for sure.
Oh, thanks. Anna, what final words of wisdom do you have for our listeners from afar?
I guess I can offer some festive advice to everyone, and that one would be watch Muppet Christmas Carol, because it is a classic and a gift, and should be part of everyone's Christmas viewing. The second one is keep your family and friends close on this Christmas. If you have people to spend it with, appreciate them. And I guess to the Boston Bruins, don't mess with Connor Garland because he's a little angry elf.
And final words of wisdom for me, as always this time of year, I encourage you to spend it with friends, spend it with family. And if you are in a position where that isn't possible, reach out to those that you might not have connected to in a while and just say hello. I mean, this time of year is about, for me, that opportunity to really, find that magic. It's sort of, when my daughter asked me why I like Christmas so much, it's the magic, the ability to connect with friends and family, the feasting. And I wish you, our listeners and our viewers, a very, Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season. And we will be back. I will be back again on my own because Anna has left me with an episode. So I'll talk about the new year then. But I want to again thank Clay Imo, Rob Williams for joining us. I'm not going to thank Jordan Bowman for leaving us, even though the power went out of this place. Yeah. But, the feud has just gotten hotter.
It's true. Yeah.
He says you don't trust the process, but you can't trust Jordan.
No.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you've reached this point of our live stream, you've probably noticed there's a little banner at the bottom for our listeners. If you want to support the show by buying myself or Anna a pint or two for the holidays, or maybe you're interested in supporting the show regularly, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/C4podcast, or as Anna and I like to call it,
buy me a pint.
And you can drop a few bucks our way, and we put it directly into the show or into the pint glass in front of us. But on behalf of Anna, A4 says show 3, myself, Chris at Lightforce, Clay Emot, Canuck Clay, and Rob at Rob the Hockey Guy, signing off this episode of C4 with Happy Holidays.